I'm sorry. I always forget to turn the mute button off. Thank you for telling me. And the vocabulary that you can learn is you can say either, teacher, it's muted, M-U-T-E, to mute means to make it have no sound. If something is mute, then it has no sound. So you can say the sound is muted, or you can say there is no sound. Okay? Yeah. To unmute. That's right. So, for example, on my mixer here, you can see on the bottom here, each of these, this is the mute button right here. I don't know if I can get this close enough to see. There we go. This is the mute button. Like a keyboard. Well, yeah. Yeah. If you mean like a computer keyboard, then yes, there's a mute and unmute button on the computer as well. Usually. What do I do when I'm tired? Well, I'm tired a lot. I mean, you try to rest, but I think I feel like maybe it's just me, but the older I get, the more I feel like you're always tired. After a certain point in life, it seems like you're always tired. But, you know, I guess if you just mean tired, then I try to sleep. I'm not sure what you mean. Can I say may be blessed? Why would you say that? It's a question. May be blessed. If you capitalize both of those mays, then technically you could say it, but I don't know why you would. Right. So if you capitalized both of them, then you could say it. Yeah. You would be saying, I hope. In this case, may is more like a wish, like I hope. May your is what it means. May your month of May be blessed. So if you say May be blessed, then yes, you could say it that way. Yeah. Would people understand you? Or you could say, would I be understood? Would people understand me, or would I be understood? That's what you can ask, Flavia. If there were some kind of context for it, then yeah, maybe. But without a context, it might sound strange. If you want to make it more clear, you could just add the word your. May your May be blessed. If you put your in there, now it becomes a little bit more clear. It's like, may you have a blessed day, some people say. Bless. It's funny, the word bless is kind of interesting because there are two pronunciations for the past tense of blessed. One is blessed and the other is blessed. To have a blessed day. And it's one of the only words I know where the ED has a dual pronunciation and it has that awkward ED pronunciation. Blessed. Mother's Day, that's right, yeah. Is everything plural or singular? Everything is both plural and singular, depending on how you talk about it. There are some words that you can use that can be spoken about in either singular or plural. Like, for example, the band. A band is both a group that's one, it's one group, but a group is many people. So you can say, the band is over there, right? But you'll also say they are going on, right? You know, they are going to perform, right? So there's a plural there and a singular, right? The band is over there, but they are over there, right? There are many words in English like that. What's the difference between pass on and pass away? Pass away, Jasper, is the word that we usually, or the phrase that we usually use to talk about someone dying. If someone died, then we say they passed away, because saying they died just sounds too cold, you know? My friend died. My father died. No, my father passed away. It's called a euphemism. Euphemisms are language that's used to make something unpleasant or something that's bad seem less bad. That's called a euphemism. There are lots of euphemisms in English, and one of them is the term passed away, which just means someone died. If you pass on something, that could be two meanings. One would be like to pass on your genes or your traits. For example, if you have blue eyes and your mother also has blue eyes, then maybe she passed those genes on to you. They were passed on to you, right? So they were given to you from her, right? That's one meaning. Or to pass on something means somebody offered you an opportunity and you said, no, thank you. That's to pass on something. Someone says, do you want to do this job? And you say, no, thank you, I pass. Okay? I'll pass on that opportunity, to pass on that opportunity. All right. Kick the bucket is it's a euphemism, but it's also an idiom. Thank you for the gifts, Jasper, by the way. All right, I'm looking at my notes here for today. What is the deal? If you have a question, you can ask me your question. I'm reading to try to see where I want to start today. So kick the bucket means to die. A bucket list is another phrase that means a list of things that you want to do before you die. So you could say, I have a bucket list of things that I need to do before I kick the bucket. Okay? How is going on? That doesn't mean anything. You should say, how's it going? How is it going? How's it going? Okay, or what's going on? What's going on is a famous song, even from Marvin Gaye. Let's see. What's the meaning of cattle do not die by crows crawling? So that's an Indian phrase, not an English phrase. That's a Hindi phrase. So there is no meaning in English. Nobody knows that. That's a Hindi phrase. And in Hindi, my understanding is it's something about if you wish something bad on someone, then that's not what's going to happen. Like, it's kind of like what we say in America. We have a tradition where when you have a birthday, we have a cake and you make a wish, right? People say, make a wish, and you blow out the candle. And you don't tell anybody your wish. If you say what your wish is, then it won't come true. If you tell anybody your wish, then it won't come true. So it's kind of like that. If you say it to somebody, then it won't happen. So if you wish someone bad feelings, then that's not what's going to happen. Something like that. I'm not exactly sure, though. Anyway, can I use come around and change mine for changing my mood or my opinion? Yes, but we would say, I have come around about this thing, or I have come around about my view or my idea, meaning I've changed my views, right? I've come around to your way of thinking is another way of saying it. I've come around to your way of thinking means I thought more about what you said, and now I agree with you. Okay? I've changed my mind, or I've come around to your way of thinking. Okay? Is Labor Day a public holiday? Yes, it is. Hello, Susu. Hello, Adnan. Thank you, Kiyun. So you use, the question was, Motaz has a question, the way to use present perfect with for and since, the word since and for. So the way this works is when you're wanting to talk about how long something is, you'll say for. Right? So, for example, if you say, we've waited for 6 hours, we've been waiting for 6 hours, right? We've been waiting, or we've waited for 6 hours. We have waited, okay? That means for that whole time you've been waiting. And for is for the duration of time, right? But since is when you are talking about the starting point. So if you're talking about how much time, you use for. If you're talking about the clock, the time on the clock, then you're talking about since. Since 2 o'clock for 6 hours. Since 2 o'clock for 6 hours. Okay? Can I explain what? Can I explain so, and so, and so? Yes. Just the first word so is just the most basic version of it. So I'm going to tell you what this means, right? So that's what we're going to do now. So you should listen to me. So everybody will hear my answers, right? So that's what we use so for, okay? So, it means not so good, right? So if somebody says, "How are you today?" and you say, "So-so," in Chinese, it's hai hao, right? It's like not so good, not great, right? So, yeah, it's not very good. If we say 50-50, though, that's not very good, right? It's not very good. So doesn't, it's not, in my opinion, so is not a good feeling. It's kind of like it's like meh, M-E-H. You know that word? Meh. That word is like, meh, right? That's like so. Okay? But the word so and so that's a phrase we use when we're talking about a person whose name we don't know. So we'll say, so and so said this, right? So and so said this. Okay? So and so means this person or a person. Okay? All right. I learn English by singing songs and watching TV dramas. Okay, that's fine. Just remember, Susu, that songs and TV are entertainment, right? Songs is more, they're more like art, they're more like poetry. And they don't need to follow the rules, right? When they make a TV show, there is nobody there who is sitting there to say, no, you can't say English like that. No, that's bad English. No, we can't use bad grammar. No, there is nobody telling people that they cannot use bad grammar on a TV show. So there are plenty of TV shows with lots of bad grammar. Okay? Because TV shows are not about education or learning. At least these TV shows, right? They're dramas, right? And songs too. So you can learn a lot from songs or TV shows, but you just need to remember that they don't need to follow the rules. So when you see something, don't think that that's the rule in a TV show or in a song. Okay? Because songs and TV shows are allowed to break those rules. It's not a grammar test. Okay? Okay, but Motaz, it's no different. It's no different. I'm not sure why you're confused. If you understand it in continuous, then why don't you understand it in simple? They're really not that different. What's confusing to you? I don't understand why you're confused. I have studied English for 3 years. That's duration. That's still duration. I have lived there for 10 years. That's duration. She has been on the phone for 3 hours. Okay? So that's still duration. I have lived in this house since 2017. Since, that means we're talking about a date or a time. 2017. She has been married since March 2nd. That's a date. Okay, so duration, for. Date, since. Okay? Pay the piper. It means it's time to get your punishment. It's time to face the music. Have you ever heard face the music? That's another one that means you did something wrong and now you have to go say, I did it. I was the one who did it. You have to tell somebody that you're the one. And now you have to face the music or you have to pay the piper, which means to be punished for something that you did. All right. So I did make some notes today of some things that I wanted to teach. Some mostly etymology. And where does the piper come from? A piper. Oh, you probably don't know what a piper is. Piper means somebody who plays a flute, a pipe. Okay, a pipe was a flute, right? So there's a famous story called the Pied Piper of Hamelin. That's a very old story, like 1284. It's a German folk tale, and it's about a man who played the pipe, the flute, who was paid to play music to get the rats to leave town. But then so in this story, there's a town called Hamlin, and this town has a bunch of rats, lots of rats. So the townspeople hire this man to play a flute to lead the rats out of town. And he does. He plays the flute and he leads the rats out of town. But then the people say they are not going to pay him. They refuse to pay him. And then the piper uses his magical flute to lead their children away. So the phrase pay the piper is a reminder to honor your debt or promises or to face the music. Okay? Right? To face up to your debt, to own up to what you did. Okay? Hello, 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 everyone. Thank you, Jerry. That's nice of you to say. Movies and shows don't do it for me anymore. I've switched to podcasts. I think that you'll probably find more interesting and useful vocabulary in podcasts than in TV shows. I think that you can search for podcasts that will help you learn certain vocabulary. There's a podcast for everything. So choose a topic that you want to be able to talk about and find the podcast and listen to it. If you keep listening to it, you'll hear all of that vocabulary, right? So if you want to know about sports in English, then listen to a bunch of sports podcasts, okay? Let's see. So the word school, it's kind of an interesting term. The word school comes from the Latin word schola, which is where we get the word scholar and scholarships, right? That kind of word. So school and scholar and scholarship, they're all related. And the word schola meant a meeting place for teachers and students, right? A place for learning, a place for instruction. But that word comes from an older Greek word, skole, which was Skhole. And the Greek word means free time, your free time. And in Greek culture, the idea was, in Greek history, it was that when you have free time, there are ways that you should spend your free time, right? Your leisure time should be spent well. So they often would use their leisure time for discussion, debate, right? They would talk, right? They used to actually have a term for it, otios discussion, which meant it was like the proper use of free time. Okay, especially in Athens or Rome, they had an idea that there are some things that you do in your free time that are valuable, like learning, right? And then there are some things that you do in your free time that are not so valuable. They're not a good use of your time. So the word school comes from the idea of spending your free time well by learning. Okay? So movie dialogue usually doesn't sound exactly like real everyday speech, right? Better focus on interviews and podcasts, right? Sergey, it depends on the movie and the dialogue. It depends on... I'm sure I can find some movies that have very, very real speech, reflective speech that's common today, okay? But movies are entertainment, so they often have speech that's not exactly natural, okay? They're like action movies. You think people really talk like that, the way they do in action movies? People don't really talk like that, okay? Not in the real world, all right? So that's why, yeah, a podcast... those are people really talking. Podcasts are real people having real live conversations. So podcasts, that's legitimate language that's useful. The words in a movie or TV show, every word that they say has been written down beforehand and thought about, and then they craft it. Right? So maybe they have one sentence where they want to say, maybe they have one sentence where the guy walks in the room and he just wants to say hello. Oh, but this character is from the South and he's got a very strong accent from the South. So he comes in and he says, "Howdy, y'all." So they make it that way because they think that's more interesting for you to hear in the movie, so they put it in there. Now, does that mean everybody talks like that? No. Some people do, even me. I've said howdy before. I say howdy pretty often, as a matter of fact. Where I live, howdy is a way to say how are you doing. But it's a common way, and it's an informal way. And it's not universal. If you go to the north in the United States, they don't say howdy up there. If you go to the west in the United States, they don't really say howdy out there, out in California. Okay? So that's why a podcast, though, the language you hear in a podcast, that language is real. It's organic. It's live. Okay? But the language you hear in a TV show or a movie, it's crafted. It's crafted language. So they craft it to be more interesting a lot. Right? They do that a lot. That means that if it sounded the way people usually sound, then nobody would be interested. Because real life is not as exciting as the movies. All right. What's the English version of the Tagalog word nigar? That's really funny. And now you're going to be banned. That's hilarious. You're so funny. You're such a funny guy. Oh, you're so funny. So everybody, please do me a favor, and Sir Risky, please report Sir Risky for me, and then I can have them banned from the app later. Okay? Can everybody do that for me? Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. I hope you enjoyed yourself, Sir Risky. Jackass. My live streams feel just like a podcast. Well, that's what I meant them to feel like. I kind of wanted them to feel like a podcast. All right. It depends on what movie you're watching. That's right. Yeah. Documentaries. Documentaries are movies, but documentaries are definitely more real language, right? There are some reality shows that are a little bit more like a documentary, and they're, like I used to like a show called, which one? Places Unknown, and, do you guys know Anthony Bourdain? Anthony Bourdain was a chef, but he had a bunch of travel shows where he would travel around the world and he would interview people and talk to people and meet people and talk about food and culture and history. And he was brilliant. And that show had real language because it was about a guy traveling around the world and talking to people in real life. Okay, so if you watch a TV show or a movie that's a sitcom or a drama, all of that language is crafted language. And I would say 80% of those are not really natural language. Okay, that's Hollywood language. That's entertainment language. It's not necessarily the way real people speak in real life. Okay? Where can I get a good podcast? So there are lots of them. Hold on a minute. One moment. Let's see. All right. So podcasts that I like, there are, let's see, there's one called This American Life. And it's a podcast about Americans, meaning they pick somebody from America and they tell the story about this person in America. And this is a show that will show you how different everybody is here. If you listen to this show, you'll see that we have people from every background here, okay? So it's a great show. There's another show called Finding Your Roots that I really like. There's a show called The Moth Radio Hour. There's TED Talks, of course. Those are great. Let's see. There's one called 99% Invisible. And that guy has a great voice. If you listen to that one, he's got a really good radio voice. Let's see. Here's one. English Learning for Curious Minds. Let's see. Stuff You Should Know. There are some English ones that you can do, like the 6-minute English and All Ears English and Luke's English Podcast. Okay, now I've given you so much stuff that you're going to go, you're never going to come back here again. All right, let's see. Is the U.S. rooted in Europe? I mean, yes, but no, man. I mean, the U.S. is rooted in the world. If you want to see what globalism really looks like, it looks like America. That's what globalism is. Everybody from the globe lives here. All right? Every country in the world, there's somebody from that country living here. Probably there's a community, a big community in most cases. All right? So, our history, because of our history, yes, Columbus came over, right? And we had the Mayflower and, the English who came over. And so there were a great number of people who came over from Europe, but that does not mean that it was only from Europe. It was mainly from Europe, yes, but there were definitely people from other places coming here also throughout our whole history, okay? Throughout our entire history. I'm curious about Friends. Yes, Susu, Friends is the most popular TV show that's ever been used for learning English around the world, okay? It was one of the most popular TV shows in America, and it's still popular. It's still on TV today in America regularly. There are a few channels that are playing it all the time, it seems like. Most of the dialogue in that show is useful. That's why it's so popular, because this show is about friends. It's about friendship and family and life and jobs and work and real life. So, yeah, it's better, but it's still not natural, all right? It's still comedy language, all right? It's sitcom language. It's crafted language. It's not exactly natural, all right? Shall I install a podcast app for them? Well, that's up to you, Anna. I don't know. That's if you want to listen to a bunch of podcasts, then maybe. Do I still post episodes on my podcast? That's a good question, Nadia. No, I haven't posted anything on my podcast in a long time. Yeah. No, I haven't. Can you search them on YouTube? Probably most of them, yeah. What podcast do I recommend that's full of phrasal verbs? I don't even know. I don't know how to think about it that way, Sergey. I don't know. Yes, Suso, I don't know why yours seems to lag so much. I don't think everybody else has this much trouble with lagging like you do. All right, so we were talking about etymology. Let's go ahead and talk about etymology. Let me just check one more thing. So here's oh, Nadia, wow, look at you. You should post more. You've listened to every episode. Well, Nadia, I mean, the reason why I didn't do more is really because what I do here is that. It's the same thing. So if you like the audio podcast, every one of these is on YouTube as soon as I'm finished. So you can watch it or listen to it anytime you want. And there are hundreds of them. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. I've done almost 1,400 live streams, and almost all of them are posted. So there are hundreds of YouTube streams that you can watch and listen to. I won't say they're all great. I have good days and I have bad days, just like anybody else. But I put everyone up. That's something that I do that's different than many people. I don't edit my videos. Not at all. I put it up. Everything that we do here, I put the whole thing up when I'm done, and I just leave it there. So yeah, it might be 3 hours long. Some of my podcasts are 3 hours or longer. Or some of my live streams, I mean. So they're all on there. You can go listen to this anytime you want. I don't know why anybody would want to listen to this, though. Hey, I have a question. Do you know why we have a 12-hour clock, and why do we have a 60-minute hour? And why do we have a approximately 12-month year? And why is there a 12-hour day? See, I need more people like you, Can. I need more people who will help me by doing that. Because I don't like self-promotion. I don't. I don't like to say, hey, everybody, make sure you subscribe and like and comment and follow and give me money. Make sure you do all those things, guys. I don't like to be a salesman. I'm a teacher. I don't want to be a salesperson, Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. Come get all the English you can get. Whatever. I don't want to be that guy. So I don't do those things, but that means that I don't get a lot of comments. I don't get a lot of likes. I don't get a lot of subscriptions, because I don't want to self-aggrandize. Yeah. So the 12-hour clock and the 60-minute hour and all of these things, where do we get them? From ancient Egypt. You're close. You're close. It's actually a little bit earlier than Egypt. It's before Egypt even. Close. Again, it's the Sumerians, not the Babylonians. It was the Sumerians. Yeah, it's the Sumerians. And it's not because the 12 numbers are easy to range on a clock face. It's because the Sumerians had a very interesting way of counting. When they would count, they used the human hand. And if you notice the hand, what they would do is they would use the thumb they just left off, like this is the one that they use to point for counting, right? So ignore the thumb. But if you look at the joints of your fingers, each one has 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 12. So they would count by saying, that's 1 12, that's 2 12s, that's 3 12s, that's 4 12s, right? So they counted by 12s because of their hand system, okay? And that's why we ended up using the 12-hour day, because they divided daylight period into 10 hours plus 2 hours for twilight in the morning and evening. So that has a 12-hour block for the sun. All right? So it was like 10 hours of daylight and 10 hours of night, and then 2 hours of transition time in between each, which was an interesting logical way to do it. And again, the numbers, the hour, why do we have a 60-minute hour is, again, because the 12 system of counting is divisible, 60 is divisible by 12, right? So the number 60 is it's the smallest number that's divisible by every number from 1 to 6. So you can divide it by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 12, 15, 20, and 30, right? Which makes it really, really versatile, right? For calculations, it's very versatile, the number 12 and the number 60, right? So that's the whole reason why we have the clock. The way we have the clock goes all the way back to the Sumerians and the Babylonians. It was later the Babylonians and then later the Egyptians. Yeah, but I thought it's kind of etymology. It's part of etymology, that kind of thing. You don't have to say it because I believe people recognize the same vibe. I love to pay VIP. But see, here's the problem, Susu. When you pay VIP, that doesn't pay me anything. That only pays Hello Talk. Hello Talk gets money. I get nothing. So, yeah. All right, let's keep going. We're going to talk about etymology now. I have a list of words, and I'm going to start teaching them, and you're going to listen to me teach them. Okay? So we're going to start with... here we go. Let's start with the word disaster. I haven't taught this one in a while. Do you know what a disaster is? What is a disaster? It's a catastrophe, okay? It's a misfortune. That's right. Yeah. So when do we talk about disasters? Tell me something that happens that's a disaster. Plague, sure, maybe. Yeah. What else? Yeah, earthquake, tsunami, right. Okay, so here is why a disaster means that. Because what does dis mean? What does dis mean? The word dis. When you see dis in a word, what does dis mean? It means no or negative or something bad, right? Or the opposite of something, right? Exactly, right? So then what does aster mean? Disaster, aster. We know dis means the opposite or not or bad. So what does aster mean? Can you think of any other words that have aster in them? What about astronaut? And how about asteroid? And how about astronomy? That's right. The word aster means star. Star. So, disaster means bad star. Why? Because 1,000 years ago, if there was an earthquake or a tsunami or a flood, what did you think? Why did you think it happened? You thought it happened because of the gods, that you did something wrong. The gods are angry at you. And where are the gods? Where are they? The stars. Right? They used to look at the stars, and that's Mars, and that's Venus. Venus and Mars, those are the names of gods. Venus and Mars are gods, right? You know that, right? So the stars were the gods to them. So when something bad happened, like an earthquake, it was a disaster because it was a bad omen. It was a bad star. It was the stars were the gods, and the gods are angry. So that's where disaster comes from. It means bad star. And that's where we get astronomy, meaning the study of the stars, astrology, astronomy. Then we also have asteroid. An asteroid is a rock from space. And we also have astronaut, a spaceman. Okay, so, or starman, spaceman, right? Okay. So there are a lot of words that have the ASTR or ASTER root in them, and they mean something about stars. Okay, the stars. All right, so there's our first one. What about the word, let's see. How about the word consider? To consider something. What does that mean? To consider. Consider means to think about something, right? To think about something, to make a decision, to make a choice, to think about something, right? So, the word consider comes from the Latin cum sidis. Cum sidis. Cum means with, and sidis means the constellations or stars. So, again, a long time ago, they used to believe that if you looked at the stars, that you could find the answers. You could see if the gods were angry or if the gods were happy if you looked at the stars. So the word consider comes from the Latin word cum sidis, which means sit with the stars. It means you have to sit and stare and look and think. To consider something. Sit and think. Sit with the stars. Okay? How about the word, do you guys know this word? Lunatic. What is a lunatic? A lunatic is a crazy person, that's right. But where do we get this word from? Yes, Gaia, that's right. The word lunatic comes from the word luna. Luna means moon. Lunar means moon, right? So lunar is the word that comes from luna, the original root, which means the moon. And they used to believe that the moon can make you crazy, right? Like when it's a full moon, people believe that when it's a full moon, that your people might be crazy at night, right? They do crazy things, right? That's right. That's lunatic. Lunatic is a crazy person, but the word lunatic comes from the word luna meaning moon, because people believe that the moon can change your moods. Okay? What about the word circadian? Do you guys know this word, circadian? Do you know the word circadian? So why is it moon now? That's a good question. Because the Latin word was luna, but the Old English word was mone, which comes from Old English, Old German, right? So in English, there are often words that come from one place that, maybe that's the reason why we named it, is because it came from this place, right? But there is, the word luna does come from Latin history, but the word that we chose for English was the word moon, which comes from Old English German history. Okay? So yeah, a circadian. Circadian means the cycle of the day, but the word circadian has the word circa in there. What does circa mean? What does circa mean? That's right. It means about, approximately, about that much. And then the word DM. What is DM? Circa DM. Day. That's right. So circadian comes from circadium. About one day. About one day. Circadium. About one day. Circadian. Okay, like carpe diem. That's right. Carpe diem is the Latin term that means seize the day, to grab the day. Carpe, to grab it. Then what about the word quarantine? Quarantine. We've talked about this before. But where did we get the word quarantine? That's right. Quarantine comes from Italian. The Italian term quaranta giorni. It means 40 days. And the reason why was because a long time ago they had many, many sicknesses, plagues, viruses, pandemics, right? And so when a boat would come to port, when a boat would come to a city, they could not come on shore. They could not come to land. They had to stay on the boat for 40 days before they could come on land. That's where we get the word quarantine from. Quaranta giorni. Okay, what about the word velocity? What about the word velocity? What is velocity? Oh, excuse me. Velocity is like speed. That's right. So velocity is a term in physics, right? But the term velocity comes from the word velox. Velox in Latin means swift, fast, quick, right? So velox means quick. It means fast. And the reason why was because the gods moved quickly, right? For example, Mercury. Mercury is a planet, but Mercury is also a god. And Mercury was a god that had wings, and he could fly quickly. Okay, so that is where we get the word velocity from. It's from Latin, velox. Velox. How about this word? This is not a super common word, but it's a fun one to learn, so I'm going to teach it to you. Well, no, we'll do this one first. I'm sorry. Let's do this one first, and then we'll do the funny one last. What is an equinox? What is an equinox? You guys know what the equinox is? So the equinox means that 2 times a year the earth is spinning, right? But it's spinning at an angle, right? So it has an angle on it. When it spins, it has kind of a wobble, right? And 2 times a year that wobble is about even with so it's even with the sun both away and toward, meaning that the day and the night are nearly equal. They're nearly equal. So the term equinox comes from the Latin term aqueous, aquus nox, which meant equal night. Equal night. Equinox. Aquus nox, which meant equal night. Yeah, March and September, right. So, yeah, it's all about when the Earth was at just the right position that the night is the night and day time are equal. Yeah. All right, that's equinox. Okay, so the last word for this list is matinee. Do you guys know what a matinee is? What is a matinee? What is a matinee, everyone? So a matinee is a movie, but it's an afternoon movie, okay? Sometimes in America, you'll go to the movie in the afternoon and it's cheaper. It's a cheaper ticket, right? It's not the evening ticket price, okay? So going to the movie in the afternoon, that's an afternoon movie, okay? What I mean is, on the weekend, maybe you want to go to the movie, but if you pay for a movie at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m., then the price is, I don't know, let's say $10 a ticket, okay, or $15 a ticket, right? So that's, if you buy it at 5 p.m., it's $15. But if you come to the 1 p.m. show, oh, the 1 p.m. show is only $10 a ticket, not 15. Okay, that's called the matinee. All right. And the word matinee, it actually comes from theater originally. Now we think about the movies, but it was originally from theater. In France, the word matin means morning. And so in French history, the matinee was the morning performance. It was the morning performance. But then over time, people decided that they wanted to sleep in later and go to the show later, not in the morning. So the matinee now means the early afternoon performance, not the morning performance. But the word matin means morning. Okay, so that's where we get the word matinee. Oh, here's another one. How about the word desire? Desire. What is desire? To have desire. What is desire? It's a U2 song. Desire. Desire is like longing, right? Yeah. So, desire is an interesting word. The word desire comes from the Latin word de, meaning from. So the de in desire means from, and then the sire actually comes from the word sidus, sidus, which means stars. Again, so the word desire actually means from the stars. And it means that it's the gods that made you feel that way. The gods made you feel that sense of longing, right? Originally, they were talking about it was waiting for what the stars will bring. So it was waiting for fate, waiting for destiny to come to you. But the word desire now means something that you want. So it's kind of like the gods have made you want it because it's from the stars. Desire. And it's similar, it's similar to the pronunciation of disaster, but be careful, Susu, because there are many, many root words that are similar sounding, but not the same. Okay, so be very careful because there are many words in Latin that could be similar, but have completely different meaning. All right? So, matin, Susu, matin in French, 这是法文. In French, the word matin means morning. Okay? All right, let's see. Do I have some other interesting ones? Oh, yeah, what about the word... Wait a minute. So what about the word mall? What is a mall? A mall is a shopping mall. That's right. It's a place where you go to buy things now, right? It's a big, big place with a lot of stores and a big building, right? Usually today, when we talk about a shopping mall, It's inside, right? But a long time ago, shopping malls were not inside, they were outside. And the word mall actually comes from something a lot older. In Italian, the word palamaglio was the word pala, meaning ball, and maglio, meaning mallet. And they had a game. There was a game that they used to play that was where you would hit this mallet and the ball, right? So you had a mallet. A mallet means like a hammer, right? So they have a ball on the ground and they would hit it with a hammer to try to, get it close to this thing, right? It's kind of like baseball, right? But like this. Look, let me see if I can show it to you. This. Have you ever seen this game before? Wait a minute. Have you ever seen this game with like a mallet on the ground like this? And you have these hoops that you have to hit it through like this. This one. We had one like this when I was a boy. Okay? This is the game Pall Mall. Look at that. It's called Pall Mall. Okay? So this game was the original place where this word comes from. Hold on a minute. I have to go back to my words, my notes. Hold on. So the game was Palamaglio, and this game you had to play it in a big open area. Okay, and that was the area that was called the Pall Mall, right? But then in St. James Park, which is where was that? Let me see. Hold on. That was in... In London, yeah. So there was a place in London. Where they would play this game, right? They would make special areas where people could play this game, like a park, right? And they had all these trees. The trees were beautiful, and they had trees lined down the street where you could play this game, right? And that was called the mall, or the Mell at the time. Okay? And it was like a place where you could walk, and it was shaded, and it was nice, and you could walk there. That was the mall. But then later, the word mall, they used this word to make you feel like this the sense of London with the walking, the walkways and the trees, and make it feel like, oh, this is a place you want to go spend some time walking around, relaxing. Right? So this word mall started as a game called Palamaglio. And the place where they would play this game was called the mall, right? And it was a place where people would come and walk and relax because of the trees. So then they took that word and used it to try to make it like a marketing term, to make you like the idea of going to this place to walk around. Okay? You have to say a long L in so it's Palamaglio. Something like that? Yeah, that's where the word mall comes from. Yeah. There's another one that I learned recently that I thought was really interesting. What about the word average? Do you guys know that word? The word average. Mohammed, I see you have a question, Mohammed, but I'm a little busy teaching a topic right now, so you're going to have to wait. You're going to have to wait until I'm done teaching. Okay? Oh, it's kind of like the double L in Spanish. I see. Ah, okay. Okay. So, yeah, average. What does average mean? Average means normally, the mean. It means everyone give everyone the same thing, the middle, the sum together and divide by the count. Right. So, where do we get this word? The word average, it comes from Arabic. Ancient Arabic, actually. The word average, originally, this word in Arabic, a long time ago, the word was awariya. Awariya, and it meant to be blind. It meant to be blind, a blind person. Okay? Then the meaning changed from a blind person to just eye damage, damage to your eyes. Damage to your eyes, all right? And then the word changed again from damage to your eyes to just damage, some kind of damage, all right? And then later, I think it was around 1200, there was a time period where Italians and many North African peoples, whether in Morocco or other countries, they were fighting on the ocean. There were many boats in the Mediterranean that were fighting, okay, in the Mediterranean Sea, right? And when they were fighting, the boats would have damage. And this word, awariya, became the word that meant damage, some kind of damage to your boat. Boat damage. So the word awariya meant boat damage. Okay, and then the word boat damage changed again. And I want you to imagine that if you were on a boat many, many years ago, you're on a boat, let's say you're going to America, and on that boat, you have all of your stuff. Everything you own is on this boat. Okay? And there's a big storm. And during a big storm on a boat a long time ago, what would they do? What did they do with things? If the boat was very heavy, what would they do? That's right. They would throw things into the ocean, right? So anything they could throw into the ocean, they would just throw things into the ocean, right? So maybe your stuff got thrown into the ocean. But maybe the other guy, his stuff did not get thrown into the ocean, right? So your stuff is gone, but his stuff is still there. Is that fair? Is it fair that you lost everything, but he lost nothing? It's not fair. So that's why the word awariya became the word that means the average damage. So when the boat would get back, they would average out the damage. They would say, oh, well, he lost everything, but you lost nothing, so we'll cut it in half, and you can split the damage. You can split the damage. That's where the word average comes from. It comes from the law of averages, which was a boat rule. It was a law of boating, of sailors, right? If you lose your stuff, don't worry. We'll average it out later. That's where the word average comes from. That's interesting. It started as a word that means to be blind. It started as the word meaning to be blind, and then it changed from blindness to eye damage, and then from eye damage to damage, then from damage to boat damage, then from boat damage to losing your things at sea. Okay? Yeah, that's a great story. When I heard that one, I was like, wow, that's an amazing story. That's an amazing etymology. Yeah. And it's also cool because it will make all of you feel more connected to English. Because look, that word, the word average, comes from Arabic. So maybe you speak Arabic and now you have a connection to English. Understand? Right? And that happens with almost every language. All right? So why do Americans say long time no see? Why do Americans say long time no see? China, 好久不见. That's right. Yeah. So, that's right. So language is that way. Language has been this way for a long time. Language is proof that we've known each other for a long time. Our cultures have been interacting for thousands of years. Do we use long time no see? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely we use long time no see. Any time that we see somebody that we have not seen in a long time, that's what we say. Yeah. Sometimes we also say, maybe I'm at the store and I want to see something. So I'll say, can I have a look-see? Can I have a look-see? That's not English. Why do people say look-see? No. That's Chinese. 我要看看. That's Chinese. Yeah, that's why Americans sometimes say that. I want to have a look-see. Yeah, that's again history. It's because of trade. A long time ago, there were sailors that were in the South Chinese Ocean, and they would trade with the Chinese traders, right? The people who were selling things. And the Chinese people didn't speak English, and the English people didn't speak Chinese. So they would try to learn a little bit. They would just try to speak what they could. Right? So maybe the guy on the boat would say hello in Chinese, right? Ni hao or something, right? He'd say ni hao. But then the other guy would say, oh, hello, right? He would say hello. And then they would say, long time no see, right? Oh, 好久不见, long time no see. Yeah, that's called pidgin English. It's a term. There's a term for it, pidgin English. Will English keep expanding in the future? Yes. Yeah. Every language is a living thing, so every language changes. If you listened to English 1,000 years ago, 1,000 years ago, you would not understand English at all. Okay? 1,000 years ago, you would not understand English at all. Not one word. All right. Let me think. Was there another term that I want to teach? Let me think of, were there any other words I wanted to teach? Hold on. Let me look at my notes. All right, how about this? So what is a bicycle? Let's just go back and do some simple etymology. What's a bicycle? CC is not right. What do you mean? You mean in Chinese or in English? In Chinese. Oh, so you mean when people say 我要看看 or 看一下, 看看, you think that that's incorrect grammar in Chinese, but it's just common? Right? Ah, okay, I understand. But still, it doesn't matter if it's incorrect in Chinese, it's what we learned. So we learned your incorrect way of doing it in the common way. Let me have a look-see. 我要看看. Okay? So, let's see. The next word... yeah, Samira, the word awariya it's an ancient word in Arabic. So let me see if let me make sure I'm pronouncing it correctly too. Average. If my thumbs could type. Average. Yeah. The word was Awariya. Awariya. Yeah. Now, I don't know how to write that in Arabic, but that's what it's spelled like here. And bicycle. We were talking about bicycle. So what is a bicycle? Bi means two. B-I means two. Cycle means the wheel, right? So bicycle means two wheels. So that means unicycle. Unicycle. Uni means one. Unicycle, one wheel. Tricycle means three wheels. Quadricycle means four wheels. Okay? So, bicycle, two wheels. Tricycle, three wheels. Quadricycle. That's I don't know why we changed the pronunciation, but we do. So there's that one. And how about the word, what about the word taxi? What is a taxi? What's a taxi? Taxi means cab. Right, but then what's a cab? Because both of those words, actually, those words were together at one time. The word used to be taximeter cab. That's what it used to be, okay? And the word cab was short for cabriolet. Taximeter cabriolet was the original word. Wow, that's so long. Today we say cab or we say taxi. But a long time ago, it was taximeter cabriolet. All right? And the word taximeter, what is tax? What is tax? What's a tax? What's a tax? Money, right? A tax is money, right? It's a fee, right? And then meter, what does meter mean? Meter just means to measure. The word meter, any of the words that have the M-E-T-E-R meaning, it means to measure something. Metrics. That's what metrics are, measurements, right? So taximeter cabriolet means a convertible car or convertible vehicle that you would pay money for how far you go. It measures how far you go. Hello, Belen, how are you? Taximeter cabriolet. What about bus? What's a bus? A bus means a big vehicle that carries many people. That's right. But the word bus used to be omnibus. The word was omnibus. And omni means everywhere or everyone. So the omnibus was the vehicle that would take everyone anywhere. It was the omnibus. Okay? And what about the word subway? What is a subway? It's not exactly a train. Not exactly. It's different than a train, right? How is a subway different? It's underground. That's right. So the word sub means under, and the word way means road. Okay, so a long time ago when someone said, oh, it's that way, they mean that road. It's this way. It's in this direction. It's this road. And sub means under. So subway means the under road, right? It's the under road. It's where the train goes under, okay? Subway. And how many words are there that have sub? Think about how many words have sub. Right? There are lots of subways, or subwords, I mean. Right? Subscribe. Subscribe. What does subscribe mean? What does subscribe mean? If you want to, maybe you want to, I know, you want to sign a contract. You need to sign a contract. So where do you sign? Do you sign at the top of the page? Do you sign in the middle of the page? Or do you sign at the bottom of the page? Where do you sign your name? At the bottom. Sub means under. Scribe means write. So subscribe means write your name at the bottom. That's what subscribe means. Okay? Subtitles. Subtitles are the titles, they're the words that are underneath. They're under, right? Here's the movie, and underneath you have the words. That's the subtitles. Okay? Submarine. What is a submarine? What's a submarine? A ship underwater. That's right, because sub means under and marine means water. Submarine means underwater. Okay? Substitute. Yes, substitute comes from the word sub meaning under and statuere, which means to set up, to set something up. So you set something up under you to be ready to take over. That's the substitute. Okay? And this word is interesting because the word substitute, sub means under, and the second part comes from the word statue, meaning a statue. You put a statue up, right? Yeah, there are a lot of sub words, everybody. And can you see why this is a much more valuable way to learn vocabulary? Because not only is it sometimes it's very interesting, but it's also very, very efficient. It's very efficient because you can find many, many words that have the same root. Right? So you're learning one root in many, many words. Okay? You think it's different. What is different? I don't know what you think is different. Let's see. What about the word... What about the word elevator? Elevator. What is an elevator? An elevator, yeah. In England, the UK, they call it a lift, right? That's right. The machine that helps you go up, right, and down. That's an elevator, right? So the elevator is an interesting word. It starts with EL now, but actually it comes from Latin, and in Latin it was EX. X. What does EX mean? If you see EX in the beginning of a word, what does EX mean? Do you know? If I say to expel someone, it means out. That's right. It means out. Okay? So the word elevate comes from the word ex, meaning out, and levare, meaning to make it lighter, So the word elevate actually means to make something lighter so that it can go up. Yeah. Like the word, do you know the word levitate? What about the word levitate? To levitate. What does that mean? Levitate means to float, right? To float up somehow, right? Is levitation, right? And look at the similarity between levitate and elevator. It still has the same L-E-V-A-T. L-E-V-A-T-E. Levitate. Elevator. Half the word is in there. It means to make it lighter, right? So to levitate is to go up. To take an elevator is to make yourself lighter, to go up in the elevator. Okay, what about the word escalator? What is an escalator? What is an escalator? It's a moving staircase. That's right. A moving staircase is an escalator. But the word escalator, it comes from the word escalade. What's an escalade? Have you ever seen? There's a car called the Escalade. Have you ever seen the Escalade vehicle? This is an Escalade, everybody. This is an Escalade. It's a big truck kind of a thing, right? And why did they call it an Escalade? Because the word Escalade actually means, when you have an Escalade, Escalade means to climb something. To climb. It means to climb, all right? And there's another word that we have. Have you ever seen this word? To scale. Let's say to scale the wall. Have you ever heard this term before? To scale the wall? Wait a minute, I'm going to show you a picture. Oh, look at that. Look at this, everyone. Look at this picture. Let me see if I can make it bigger. What does that look like? What does that look like right there? And Marco, are you still here? Marco, what's the Italian word for climb? Marco, what's the Italian word for climb? Is there another one like scalata? Something like that? Scalare? Yeah, that one. Yeah, right. So that is the Italian word, or one of the Italian words that means to climb something. And that's where we get the word scale, to scale, escalare, right? Yeah, that's right. To scale the wall meant to climb the wall. So when you take the escalator, you are scaling the wall up the stairs. You're climbing the stairs. You're climbing the ladder. That's right. Scala is ladder. That's right. So that's where we get escalator from. It's the stairs that you climb. That's kind of cool, right? Oh, what about this word? Catastrophe. What is a catastrophe? Catastrophe is a disaster, that's right. But what about this word? What about that word? Catapult. A catapult. So the word catastrophe means a terrible thing that happened, right? Usually it's like a failure or like a loss of some kind is a catastrophe, all right? But this word comes from the Greek word catastrophe, and that is, it means kata. Kata means down. Kata means down, and streifen means turn. So a catastrophe means something turned down. You wanted it to go up, but it turned down. You wanted it to go up, it turned down, right? So it was a catastrophe, right? But the word catapult, what is a catapult? What does a catapult do? It's a launcher. It throws things, right? And why? What do you use it for? Why does it throw things? It throws big rocks. Why? Okay, but against what? Why? What are they trying to hit with the catapult? They're trying to hit the walls, everybody. The catapult was to knock down the walls so that you could get your soldiers in. Okay? If you can't get your soldiers in, you can't win. So they used a catapult to do that. And the word kata means down, and pult comes from the base word palain. I can't remember how to pronounce it, but it means to throw, right? So a catapult throws rocks to knock the walls down. So catastrophe is to turn down, like meaning the expectations were the opposite of what you wanted. They were not good, they were down, they were bad, right? And a catapult knocks down the walls. Okay? And what else? How many? Let me see. Are there any other words? What about catalog? What is a catalog? What's a catalog? Yeah, these are Greek. Most of these are Greek. Now, a catalog is an index. It's an index. That's a good word for it. It's an index or a directory, okay? So the word kata, what does kata mean? Again, what does kata mean? Kata means down, completely down. And the word log comes from the word legain, meaning to count something. So a catalog is something where you write down everything and count it down. It's written down and categorized, and it's written down and it's categorized. It's cataloged, categorized, catalog, catapult, catastrophe, kata. They're all kata words. Okay? And what about, let's see, are there any others? What about a cataclysm? Cataclysm is another kind of a catastrophe. It's a terrible, terrible thing. And the word cataclysm means to wash down. So a cataclysm originally was talking about a flood. The word cataclysm originally, a long time ago, it meant a flood because the word kata means down and the word klizine means to wash down. Okay? Or how about the word, what about, oh, there are so many. What about a cathedral? What is a cathedral? Do you know what a cathedral is? So the word cathedral is really interesting. Now the word cathedral means it's like a church. It's a big church, right? It's usually a big church is a cathedral, right? But the word cathedral, originally the word was cathedralis or cathedra. And a cathedra was a chair. It was a seat. It was just the chair where the bishop would sit. Okay, so let me show you what that looks like. like this. So when you see a priest or bishop let me see if I can get a good image. Can I zoom in on that? Okay, take a look at this. Look at this chair. Is that a normal chair? Is that a chair like everybody has a chair like that? No, that's a special chair, almost like the king, right? So that's called the cathedra. That's called the cathedra or cathedra. And a long time ago, that was the chair. And so the word cathedral is actually now, it meant the church where they have that chair, so it's a special church where they have this special chair. That's really what it is. All right? Yeah. And the word cathedral also comes from the word kata, meaning down, and hedra, meaning seat. So cathedral is a word that actually means the place where you sit down. It's the place where you sit down. It's kind of funny. All right, let's see. One moment. Oh, no, I didn't mean to do that. There we go. What about... so we were talking about kata words. There's some other kata words, like the word catatonic, like the word... catalytic. There are plenty of words, but most of these words are very, very rare. Okay, so those are the kata words. And we were talking about catapult, right? We were talking about catapult. But what is a catapult? A catapult is, it's something for war, right? It's something for war, right? It's a weapon for war, right? And a long time ago, they used to call any weapon for war, they called it a war engine. A war engine. Why did they call it a war engine? What is an engine? What is an engine? And an engine provides power. It's a machine. It's like a motor, right? Usually today we think of an engine as a motor, right? It's something with a motor in it, right? But does a catapult have a motor? No, a catapult doesn't have a motor. So it's not about motor, no. So what does it mean? What it means is this. I want you to imagine that there are two armies that are coming together to fight, okay? So two armies come and they meet on the battlefield, right? And one army is looking over at the other army and they see, wait a minute, what is that? They have something new. What is that crazy thing that they made? They made a catapult or something like that, right? What is that thing? That's very clever. That's very clever. The word engine comes from the word engine. Engine meaning clever. Because they would see that machine for war and they'd be like, oh, well, look at that. That's clever. They have something very clever. They made a clever machine to help them fight. That's very clever. It's ingenious. So the word engine and ingenious and genius, those are all related. Okay? Ingenium. Yeah. So is engine related to energy? No. No. Energy comes from the letters En, means at, or something that's working. And then the ERGY comes from the word ergos, which means that works. So the word energy comes from the Latin word energia, or the Greek word energia. That's interesting. And it just means something that has action. Something that can work is something that has energy. Is engine a German word? No, it's French, and then before it was French, it was Latin. Let me make sure I'm right about that. I'm pretty sure. Let me just double check. Engine was Old French, engine. So in French, it meant clever, to be smart. Or like, it was like a trick, like, oh, look at that. They brought something new. Like, that's not fair, right? It comes from the Latin word ingenium. The Latin word ingenium. And the word ingenium, in means within you, inside, and the genium comes from gignere, which means to produce, to give birth, or to produce, to make, to create. So the word ingenium comes from the idea, the Romans and the Greeks used to believe that there were spirits or ghosts or angels or gods that would give you your gifts, your powers, your creativity, your talents. So when you were a genius, that's because you had, well, for example, the Latin genius means a guardian deity or spirit which watches over each person from birth. So when the Greeks and the the Greeks and the Romans, when the Romans said you're a genius, they believed that means there's a god who's helping you. There's a spirit or a god or some kind of a thing that's helping you, right? So that's what when they called you a genius, that's what it meant. Okay? Yes, Helen, Gene is the root word that means to give birth. That's right. That's where we get the word genes, right? Genealogy, genes, right? All of those types of words, genetics, that's all from that, okay? Okay, well, anyway, my brain hurts now. I think I've done a bunch of words. Let me see. So an engineer, what is an engineer? What's an engineer? An engineer is somebody who makes things, right? Like bridges and things like that. But again, the word engineer comes from the word that means to be clever right? You're clever. You can make things. And that's where we get the word ingenuity. Ingenuity. To have ingenuity means to be clever, that you can make something new. Okay? Okay, I'm going to go back and do some basics. I haven't done this in a while. Have you guys ever learned about the days of the week? Why do we call Sunday, Sunday, and Monday, Monday, and Tuesday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, Wednesday? Do you want to know why? So, Sunday is named after the sun. It's the day of the sun. The sun was a god for many, many, many years. The sun and the moon were gods, right? So Sunday is the day of the sun, and Monday is the day of the moon. Tuesday is an interesting one. The Germans, a long time ago, Germanic people, they had a god, and his name was Tiew. Tiew, something like that. There was a bunch of different spellings back then, but it was like that. And Tiew was the German name for the Roman god Mars. So Tuesday is the day of Tiew, which was the day of Mars. Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, those come from Viking history, from Norse history, the Northern European culture. And so, for example, who is the superhero? Today there's a superhero in the movies, and he has long blonde hair and a big hammer. What's that guy's name? The guy with the big hammer, and he has the long hair. He's very handsome, strong guy. What's that guy's name? His name is Thor. His name is Thor. So Thursday is the day of Thor. And yes, you just said Thor, son of Odin. Odin is how we say it now. Odin was the father of Thor, okay? So a long time ago, they used to pronounce his name as Vodin, not as Odin. It was Vodin. So Wednesday is Vodin's day, and Thursday is Thor's day, and Friday is for another Norse god. This one is a goddess, Freya. Freya was a female goddess that was powerful in their culture. So Wednesday is Odin's day, the day of Odin. Thursday is the day of Thor. Friday is the day of Freya. Saturday is the day of Saturn. The day of Saturn. Yeah, Frigg, Freya. Yeah, that's the same one. There was no day named after Loki. Loki was the god of chaos. And his whole... Loki was basically just the god that explained everything that didn't work right. Loki was the reason. He was chaos, you know? Right. Okay, so that's the days of the weeks. What about the months? All of the months have a reason too. So what about January? Why do we call it January? January is named after the Roman god Janus. Janus was a god that had two faces. Okay, Janus was a god that had two faces. One face looked into the future, and one face looked into the past. And that's why January is the first month. One face looks into the future, and one face is looking into the past. Okay? Okay, Lindsay, if that's you, I don't want to talk to you. I have no interest in talking to you. I want you to leave me alone because I don't know what your problem is. So I want you to go away. I want you to leave me alone, and I want you to not come back ever again. Can you do that? That's Lindsay, everybody. Lindsay has been stalking me. I don't curse anybody but you, and the only reason why is because you are stalking me. Why are you stalking me, Lindsay? Why are you stalking me? Why don't you answer that? Why are you not doing the right thing? I have told you I don't want to be bothered by you, but you keep bothering me. So why are you bothering me? What did I do to you? What did I do to you? Please tell me what I did to you. Nothing. Maybe I yelled at you because you annoyed me. All right? This is my room, Lindsay. This is my room. So everything that happens in this room, you have to do what I say in my room. And if you don't like it, go away. Make your own room. Go to other rooms. I don't know why you're here. Why are you bothering me? No answer. See? No answer. No answer. Don't follow me. I'm going to report you and block you and make you know that I'm going to make you, they're going to kick you off again, right? You understand that, right? They're going to kick you off the app again, Lindsay. You have been kicked off this app at least 3 times. At least 3 times you have been removed from this app. And you keep coming back. I'm not trying to waste my time, but I am trying to deal with this because it keeps coming back and I don't know why. It's so pathetic and desperate. Go get a life, Lindsay. Go get a life. Why do you care about anything that has to do with me? Just go talk to some other people and live your life, and I will live my life, and we never have to speak again. That is how it should be. Okay? So now I am telling you for the final time, Lindsay, look at me right now. Look at me, Lindsay. I am telling you for the last time, I do not want to see you. I do not want to talk to you. I don't want to be involved with you in any way, shape, or form. So do not follow me. Do not come here again. Do not come here again. I have blocked her 10 times. I have blocked her. 3 times she has been removed from the app. 3 times she's been removed. And she has a bad history of annoying not just me, other streamers too. She lies and makes up crazy stories about people. I don't know what her problem is. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway. Well, let me just do one more thing, and then that's it. There we go. Yeah. I don't get it. I don't understand. I am not that interesting. Go, if you're stalking Brad Pitt or some famous person, I understand. But I'm nobody. So why are you wasting your time on me? It's weird. Yeah. Okay, so can I go back to the months now? Let's go back to talking about the months. I'm going to teach you about the months. It's very interesting. Before Lindsay interrupted me. So yes, really quickly, I'll say January. Again, January comes from Janus, the god, the Roman god. Then Janus had two faces. One face looked into the future and one face looked into the past. And that's why January is the first month. February, and if you notice, I pronounce the month February. I don't pronounce it February. February is how many people pronounce it today. It's the standard way to pronounce it. But I will not pronounce it that way for two reasons. One reason, because it's clearly spelled February, not February. One, that's why. Two, because the month of February, the month of February is named after the Roman celebration Februa. Februa was a Roman celebration that happened at the end of winter, kind of the beginning of spring. And it was cold. And so during that time, they would make big fires. Big fires, and they would dance around the fire. And it was very hot. And so they would sweat a lot. They would sweat. So in English, we have another word, febrile. Do you know this word? Febrile. Do you know that word? Have you ever heard that word? Yeah. Febrile is where we get the word fever. A fever is when you are hot. Fever means you are febrile. Febrile comes from the Roman festival Februa because they had fires, and the fires would make you very hot and sweaty. So fever comes from the word Februa, the celebration of the end of winter when they would burn fires, and it was a hot, sweaty celebration. Okay, so that's where we get February. March comes from the Roman god Mars. April is one that they're not entirely sure about, but what they think the word comes from a Latin word aprilis, which some I think it was aprilis. It means to open. To bloom, right? So April is when things bloom, right? It's when flowers open and bloom, right? So May was named after the god Maya. June was named after the god Juno. And then it gets interesting because in the Roman calendar, originally the Roman calendar only had 10 months. The Roman calendar had 10 months. And then they had an extra 2 months that were just kind of winter. Okay? They had an extra 2 months that were just kind of like winter, all right? And so the original months in the Roman calendar was originally January, February, March, April, May, June, September, October, November, December. So there was no July and there was no August. That's right. So that's why, do you know, what does October? October has the letters OCT. What does OCT mean? OCT. It means 8. That's right. What does SEPT mean? Sept. Sept means 7. Oct means 8. Nov means 9. And dec means 10. So the original Roman calendar had 10 months, and it was January, February, March, April, May, June, September, October, November, December. But then Julius Caesar, the great Roman emperor, Julius Caesar, he decided, I want 1 month named after me. So that's where we get July. And then he said, yeah, you know what? My father was also a really great guy. Augustus Caesar. Augustus. So August is named after Augustus Caesar. July is named after Julius Caesar. And that's why it's weird, because now the month of September is the 9th month. But the word sept means 7. And the word October, it's the 10th month, but oct means 8. Right? That's why it's weird. Yeah. The Roman months were January, February, March, April, May, June, September, October, November, December. And then the extra time, that extra 2 months that they used to have, was just winter. That was just winter. It was basically just everything was cold and snowy, and you couldn't do anything anyway, so nobody cared. August existed, but it was named Sextilis. Yeah, kind of. Later, yes, but earlier, no. And July was Quintilis, that's right. But the way that they actually talked about it, it was really just a 10-month calendar, and those extra 2 months were just a winter time when nothing could really happen anyway. You know, they really couldn't do much in the winter back then. You know? Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, it looks like, Helen, it looks like you know a bit about etymology as well. Or history, or both. Your source says January and February didn't exist. Interesting. Yeah, well, that's right, there are different theories. That's the thing that's interesting about etymology and about language. All history is not completely clear. All history. Especially the further you go back. The further you go back, sometimes it's very, very hard to really see what exactly happened. So, with etymology, many times there are words that have more than one possible origin, that we're not sure where it comes from. It could come from here, but it also could come from here. We're not sure, you know? And some words are very old, and some words become much more difficult to find the real meaning. Like, for example, break a leg. Break a leg is a term that we use that means good luck. But there are many, many theories about where it comes from. Now, the one that I tell everybody is the one I was taught, and it's the one that still makes the most sense to me, so it's the one that I think is legitimate. But that doesn't mean it's the only one. Yeah, it comes from theater. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, we can never be really sure. But, Helen, here's the thing. For our purposes, it doesn't matter where it comes from. It doesn't matter which one is right. What does matter is it's interesting. And because it's interesting, you will remember. So I don't care how you remember. I just want you to remember. Right? So whether it happened with Sextilis or not, it doesn't really matter to me. I only want you to remember the basic story, and then you will remember the words. Right? Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, that's etymology, everybody. And by the way, so if you're learning etymology, you can learn a lot by yourself. If you want to study, you can go to this website that I use called etymonline.com. It's a free etymology dictionary. Right here. When you learn that galaxy has the root lac related to lactose, right, exactly, right. And Helen, there are so many words that the meaning of them are right in front of your face, but we don't think about them. We don't think about them all the time. One of them that I love is the word answer. The word answer. When I was a boy, I remember seeing this word. I had to spell this word over and over, and I hated spelling this word because the word answer doesn't sound like what it looks like. It looks like it should be answer. Answer. And it should, because the original word was an, meaning in front of or before, and then swear, to swear before the court or to swear before the king. This is what happened. You're telling what happened. That's your answer. To swear before the court or to swear before the king. That's your answer. It makes a lot more sense. Or the word breakfast. The word breakfast. It's so obvious. It's right there in front of your face. You break your fast. It's the first food that you eat since the last time. So you break your fast. You lost your favorite classes. Romana, what do you mean? Yeah, Helen, every language has etymology, just some etymologies work differently, right? There are some etymologies that are, like, for example, most English etymology is based on languages that have roots. But for example, Arabic is a different one. Arabic, I just learned this recently. Arabic can expand by root, but Arabic also can expand in another way. How did he describe it? I can't remember how he described it now, but it's like by type, I think. So you can actually, they have more than one way to create words, whereas English words are mostly created by adding roots, different roots that come together, right? Many, many languages work that way. You just take the little parts and put them together to make new parts, right? But Arabic is unique because it actually does use roots, but it also uses another way to create language. Okay. You missed this class. Was it about etymology? Well, we talked a lot about etymology today, but we talked about other things a little bit too. Thank you, Rico. Hello, Gita. AI gives wrong questions so often about it. Better to search yourself. You mean etymology? Not completely in my experience. At least with English etymology. I use ChatGPT sometimes to do some of my research for etymology. I usually use the etymology dictionary. That's mostly what I use. Which, by the way, let me see if I can show you. I don't know. Do they have that here? Wait a minute. Oh, that's really a bummer. Why do they not have that? So the etymology dictionary, the reason I love it so much is because of this. So they have an app version, right? They have a website, but they also have an app. And on the app, on the bottom here, if you scroll down to the bottom, they have this part here that says prefixes and suffixes. So you can click this, and now it gives you a list of every prefix and every suffix in English. And there are a lot of them. So you can just find one like exo, right? The EXO. Let's look at all the words that have exo in them. So we have exoskeleton, exogenous, exoteric, exotic, right? Those are exo words, right? Or I can go back and I look at extra words. What words have extra in them? Extracurricular, extrajudicial, extramarital, extramural, extraneous, extraordinary, extrapolate, extrasensory, extra special, extraterrestrial, extravagant, right? So these are all extra words, right? So the app is amazing just for that. I don't know why, but the website does not have that. The app has that, and that is, you can just spend all day just clicking on a root and just see all the words that come with that root. Okay? No. I mean, Helen, the online etymology dictionary, this website, if you go to this website, at the bottom of the page, look, this is the website right here. Okay, here's the website, the online etymology dictionary. But scroll down to the bottom and look, they have a Chrome extension, an iOS app, and an Android app. Okay, and the app is what has this feature to show you all the roots. Okay, and look, they have some cool stories here. There's some articles that you can read about etymology. All right. Or you can go here and look what's trending. Let's see what's trending. So how about the word, let's look at the word sacrifice. So the word sacrifice comes from the 13th century. And let's see, it originally comes from Old French, and before that, Latin. So here's the Old French, sacrifice. And then here's the Latin, sacrificium, or sacrificus, which means performing priestly functions or sacrifices. And that's where we get the word, that's where we have the word sacred, or sacrifice comes from the word sacred. Sacred, something holy, something really, really important to you is sacred, right? So sacred and facere, meaning to do or make. So a sacrifice is something that you do that makes it sacred. It makes it to show how important it is. It's a sacrifice. Okay? And then you can look here and see, let's see. Like, for example, to make and do. How many words are there that have this root? Many, many, many. So look at all these words. These words all are related. All of these words are related. It's crazy when you figure out why they're related. Sometimes they're related and you go, oh, wow, yeah, that makes sense. That's related. Sometimes they're related, but you're like, wow, that's a crazy connection. I don't know how that's connected, but that's a crazy connection. Can you guys wait for just one moment, please? Please wait a minute. Sorry about that, everybody. We had a maintenance person here. I had to help him go look at something. All right. What time is it? It's about time, I think, almost. Let me see. Did I miss anything? What? 今天的课就是英文历史，英文的字，他们有历史 Okay? Every English word has history. Okay? Lately, you're teaching us the etymology of the word. Can I know why, please? John, it's very easy. I teach etymology because if you want to know the vocabulary, etymology does two things. One, sometimes the stories are interesting stories. And because they're interesting stories, it's so easy to remember. So people tell me all the time, how can I remember vocabulary better? When I memorize them, I forget them. Because memorizing is so boring, that's why you forget. But etymology, sometimes the words, the stories are very interesting, so they're easy to remember. That's one reason why. The second reason why I teach etymology is because many English words, they come from a root word. So, for example, 60% of English words come from Latin or Greek. And those have a lot of root words, like the word co. What does co mean? C-O. If you see a word that has co in it, what does that mean? What does co mean? Co means together. That's right. So now you can try to find all the words that have co in them, like cooperate, co-pilot, co-worker. And now you know that it means together operate, together work, together fly, co-pilot, right? So, yeah, that's why, because it's efficient. It's very efficient. You can learn one root that will teach you many, many words. All right? So those are the two reasons why I teach etymology. One, because sometimes they're very interesting, and that makes it easier to remember. Two, because it's more efficient when you learn one root that can teach you 50 words. Okay? The word coconut, Gayla, do you know where the word coconut comes from? It's kind of funny. The word coconut it's a combination of the word cocoa and nut. And the word cocoa in Portuguese and Spanish, the word cocoa, it means a smiling face, because coconuts have the three holes that look like a face. So that's what a coconut, it means smiling face. Nut. Nuts can also mean somebody is crazy, but that's a slang term. He's nuts. Okay, yeah, guys, I need to take a break. My back is starting to hurt from sitting too long. It's been almost 3 hours I've been sitting here, so I'm going to take a break here and go get some lunch. But thank you guys for watching and listening and following. If you didn't follow me yet, and if you don't know who I am, then you should get this file. Everything that you need to know about me is in this file. I have been on this app for 12 years. 90,000 people follow me. If you want to know why 90,000 people follow me, please get that file. Okay? That file right there. If you are Chinese and you cannot open the file, then you can search for me. One moment. Hold on, let me fix something. Okay, yeah, if you want to search for me on WeChat, you can. This is my ID on WeChat. If you search for me on WeChat, then you can find me there and add me, and then I can send you the file on WeChat. Okay, I can't send it on HelloTalk. They don't let you send it on HelloTalk. So if you can't open it here, then you can add me on WeChat, and then I can send you the file, okay? All right. So again, everything about me is in this file. My schedule is in this file. My website is in this file. My blog, my YouTube, they're in that file, okay? Everything you need to know about me is in that file. No, excuse me. Man, I need to eat. I'm hungry. Okay, I have to go. Thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you for following. Have a good morning. Have a good afternoon. Have a good evening. And I will see you guys next time. Yes, I know, Susu, the blog can't be opened. I'm sorry. Can't do anything about that. I'm trying to find an alternative blog that can work in China, but I haven't found one yet. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye.